President-elect in Argentina, he has promised to eliminate the use of its local currency, which is called peso. And he wants to replace this local currency and promote the use of US dollar in the Argentinian economy. Now, use of any currency, it is promoted or it is intended to mobilize the resources in a particular country. Hence, this topic, it is important from GS paper 3 perspective. Now, why are we taking this topic in a prelims related discussion? It is because in the year of 2022, a question appeared on Indian economy and it specifically highlighted the use of local currency and the fluctuating interest rates in an Indian economy. Hence, on similar lines, we have curated a practice question on use of US dollars and how we can intend to increase the use of dollars. But before solving this prelims related practice question, let us first know more about what is a dollarization. Now, this dollarization, specifically in Argentinian context, it refers to replacing of domestic currency, which is peso, with that of US dollars. Now, previously in Argentinian economy, its central bank, it regulated the flow of money supply in the Argentinian economy. And due to vested interest, it resulted into increased money supply in the in the Argentinian economy. And this increased money supply, it also led to increased inflation in the Argentinian economy. Hence, in order to remove the vested interest, the president-elect of Argentinian government, he has highlighted that nation, that is Argentina, it should promote the use of US dollars. Because then the control of money supply in an economy, it will be out of hands of Argentinian economy. And hence, the flow of US dollars in an economy, it will depend on two factors. First is Argentinian economy, it will lead to enable of flows of dollars in its domestic economy through trade or through inflow of capital. Now, this measure, it intends to remove the control of money supply in the hands of Argentina itself. Hence, after the dollar is introduced in Argentinian economy, it can access these dollars through trade as well as capital inflows. Further, as a US dollar is a stable currency, it will also enable both domestic as well as foreign investors in the Argentinian economy to take a long-term planning. Hence, these investors can plan their investment decisions based on the flow or value of dollars and not local currency. Hence, it will lead to boost of productivity in an Argentinian economy because the measures such as currency depreciation will be out of the hands of the Argentinian government. However, this has also led to few issues because the control of money supply, which is done through monetary policy, will not be possible in case of flow of only dollars. Further, most countries, they undertake depreciation of their currency in order to make their exports more attractive to other nations. However, when there's no domestic currency, the local government, it will not be able to undertake this depreciation of currency. Hence, the government has to solely rely on just boosting the productivity of its economy rather than undertaking this depreciation of its domestic currency. Now, after we have known what is this dollarization process, let us now solve the model practice question. Now, this question asks us to consider following factors with reference to US dollars. Now, it also asked us to solve this question by considering what of the above factors can cause dollarization. The first factor, it says that trade in local currency. Now, we know that by dollarization, we can need to promote trade in dollars and not local currency. Hence, this first factor is incorrect. Now, expansionary monetary policy by the US Federal Reserve will increase the money supply of dollar across the world. Hence, this increased money supply of dollar will also lead to increased inflation in economies which promote the use of dollars. Hence, it will disincentivize the process of dollarization. Hence, this second factor does not intend to promote dollarization, rather, it discourages dollarization. Hence, this second statement is also incorrect. Now, the third statement, it says that trust in US financial markets. Now we know that trust in US financial markets, it is the most important factor that promotes the use of dollarization. Hence, this third statement is correct in context that it will promote dollarization. Hence, from the above discussion, we can conclude that only one factor is correct. Hence, option A is the correct answer. Whereas this PYQ is concerned, here option B was the correct answer. Now with this, let us move to the second article of the day, which appeared in the explained section of the Indian Express. Now this news article, it highlights that the event of Kambala, which is an animal race, it has been conducted in the capital city of state of Karnataka. Now why are we considering or covering this topic in today's DNS? It is because GS paper 1 syllabus, it highlights aspects of Indian culture. Further, a question on regional festivals, it was asked in the prelims of the year 2018, where several northeastern festivals was asked in a question. Hence, let us consider this model question on traditions and state that are associated with this tradition. But before solving this model question, let us know more about these four traditions. Now, the first tradition in this regard is the practice called Silambam. And this practice is a martial art form which is prevalent in the state of Tamil Nadu. Now, this particular festival or event, it was also organized in medieval times, especially in the age of Pandyas, Cholas, as well as Chera kingdom. Now, this word silambam, it means use of staves, pearls, as well as swords, whereas this word was also mentioned in a Tamil literature figure called Silappatikaram. Further, the second tradition is known as Kambala, which was covered in this news article. Now, this Kambala is an annual buffalo race which is primarily organized in Karnataka. And this tradition is prevalent in the western region, that is coastal districts of Karnataka, especially Mangalore as well as Udupi district. However, this practice, it is also prevalent in a coastal Kerala city called Kasargod. Hence, this particular coastal area, it is known as Tulu Nadu. Now, this practice of Kambala, it was sponsored by Tuluva landlords which inhabited this area. And this race is organized in four categories. In the first category, a light plow is tied to buffaloes and then these buffaloes are made to run. Whereas in the second category, a rope is tied to these buffaloes and the other end of the rope is held by a race jockey. Whereas the third category, it utilizes a horizontal plank on which the jockey stands and he then intends to race these buffaloes. Whereas in the fourth category, it is used as a wooden plank where this plank is tied to buffaloes and then these buffaloes are made to participate in this particular event. Now the third event is called Kuttu Verisai. And this particular word, it highlights the empty hand combat. And this kind of a martial art form, it is also prevalent in the state of Tamil Nadu. Now, this particular word, it is also mentioned in the Sangam literature. Hence, this is a kind of martial art form. Now, the fourth event, it is known as Jallikattu. And this is also an event which utilizes animal and these animals are made to run. And this event, it is prevalent in the southern part of Tamil Nadu. Now, this event, it is taken in the part of Pongal celebration, which usually occurs in the month of January. Now, the main tribe which inherit this tradition, they are known as IR tribes. And these tribes, they inherit the region of Mulai, which is also a Tamil term for pastoral lands. Hence, as we know more about these four events, let us now deal with the practice question. Now, the practice question, it asks us to consider the following pairs with reference to heritage and culture of India. Now, the first pair, it highlights that Silambam, it is associated with state of Kerala, which we know for the fact is incorrect because Silambam is associated with state of Tamil Nadu. Whereas the second pair, it highlights that Kambala, it is associated with Karnataka, which we know is a correct pairing. Whereas the third pairing, it says that Kutu Varisai, it is associated with Andhra Pradesh, which we know is an incorrect pairing because it is associated with the state of Tamil Nadu. Whereas the fourth pairing, it says that Jallikattu, it is associated with Tamil Nadu, which we know from this discussion is a correct pairing. Hence, how many pairs given above is or are correctly matched? Now, as we know, two pairings are correct, hence option B is the correct answer. Whereas the PYQ of 2018 is concerned, here also option B was the correct answer. Now with this, let us move to the third article of the day, and this article, it appeared in Science and Tech section, which appears in the last page of the Hindu newspaper. Now this topic, it is important from GS paper 3 perspective because it asks us to deal with awareness related to the field of space. And in today's news article, this highlights that the James Webb Space Telescope, it was utilized by researchers to discover teen-age galaxies. Now, what are these teen-age galaxies? As the name highlights, these teenager galaxies, it highlights in a similar way how teenager in us humans behave. Because these galaxies, they display growth spurts which inhibits their immaturity. And the gases which are present in these galaxies, they can attain high temperatures as much as higher than 13,350 degrees centigrades. Now, this galaxy or these teenager galaxies, they have 8 different elements which occur in form of gas. These include hydrogen, helium, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, argon, nickel, as well as silicon. Now, the most important component of these galaxies are oxygen. Now, why are we discussing this particular topic? It was because in the prelims of the year 2015, a question appeared on ice cube which is located in the South Pole. Hence, on similar lines, we have curated a practice question on James Webb Telescope. But before solving this James Webb Telescope practice question, let us know more about what is this James Webb Telescope. Now, this James Webb Space Telescope, it was envisaged by NASA as a successor to its popular Hubble telescope. Now, this James Webb Telescope, it is primarily an infrared telescope which was jointly developed by NASA, European Space Agency, as well as Canadian Space Agency. Now, this space telescope, it operates in a far infrared region. And this quality of this telescope, it allows us, this telescope, to operate in much farther distance than Earth. Because this telescope, it operates at L2 Lagrangian point in the space. Hence, this distance away from Earth, it enables this space telescope to directly observe the changes in space and time. Now, the types of wavelength which is prevalent or which can be viewed by this telescope, it includes visible wavelength as well as near and mid infrared regions. Now, let us compare this telescope with that of Hubble. Now, the ranges of wavelength which this telescope can cover, it ranges from 0.6 to 28 microns, which you can see is on a higher side than when you compare with 0.8 to 2.5 microns, which was in the case of Hubble Space Telescope. Whereas the size of the main mirror of this telescope, it is that of 6.5 meters, which is again almost 3 times the size of Hubble Space Telescope's primary mirror. Hence, you can see that the field of view of this James Webb Space Telescope, it is almost 3 times higher than that of Hubble Space Telescope. Further, as I've already highlighted, that this James Webb Telescope, it operates in a farther distance from our Earth. As James Webb Telescope, it operates at L2 Lagrangian point, whereas on the other hand, Hubble, it operates in low Earth orbit. Hence, this distance from Earth, it enables this telescope to explore or directly explore the changes in space and time. Hence, let us now discuss the model question. Now, this model question, it asks us to identify the incorrect statement. Now, the first statement, it says that it is considered as a successor of the Hubble telescope, which we know for the fact is a correct statement. Now, this second statement, it highlights that James Webb Space Telescope, it is the most powerful infrared telescope of the NASA, which we know again is a correct statement. Whereas the fourth statement, it says that this space telescope, it is expected to reveal new and unexpected discoveries and help humanity understand the origin of universe. And now we know that this space telescope, it operates at L2 point in our galaxy. Hence, it enables this telescope to explore or directly observe the changes in space and time. Hence, this fourth statement, it is also correct. Now, this third statement is incorrect because this telescope, it is not just a project of NASA alone, because it was a joint venture between NASA, Canadian Space Agency, as well as European Space Agency. Hence, statement 3 is incorrect, which makes option C the right answer, as the question, it wanted us to identify incorrect statement. Whereas the PYQ is concerned, here option D was the correct answer. Now with this, let us move to the fourth article of the day, which appeared in page 9 of the Hindu. Now this article highlights the benefits of fiber optic cables, as this benefit, it enables these fiber optic cables to be used for telecommunication as well as medical imaging. Now, why are we dealing this particular news article? It is because GS Paper 3 syllabus, it highlights us to be aware of this field of information technology. And today's information technology, or rather the base of today's information technology, it is grounded in these fiber optic cables. Because these fiber optic cables, it is utilized for data transmission across continents. Hence, we have curated a practice question on optical fibers. And this is because UPSC in the prelims of the year 2020, it asked a question related to changes in or developments with relation to communication technology. But before solving this model question, let us know more about what are these optical fibers. Now, these optical fibers, they are thin, flexible as well as transparent fibers which are made up of glass material. And this glass material, it enables these fibers to carry light pulses as data in its electronic form is changed into these light pulses, and these light pulses they carry or transmit the data from one end to the other end of this fiber cable. Now this fiber cable, it is primarily made of two layers. As you can see, the outer layer, it is termed as cladding, and this is made up of a denser material. Whereas the inner material, it is known as a fiber core and it is of a lighter density. Hence, you can see that when light flows from this lighter to denser medium, there can be two possibilities. The first possibility, it is known as refraction. As when light it flows from lighter to denser material, and when the incidence of this light at the interface of lighter and denser material, it is less than the critical angle, then this means that the light will transmit from lighter to denser material. Whereas on the other hand, when the angle of incidence of this light is greater than the critical angle, it means that the light, instead of getting refracted, it is reflected inside in this lighter material itself. Hence, this process, it is known as total internal reflection. And this particular process, it is at the height or it is at the heart of transmission in these optical fiber cables. Because these data, which is then embedded into the optical fibers, it is reflected in these fibers, which enables transmission of this data. Hence, there are many advantages that these light optical fiber cables have over other material of wires such as copper wires. Now, these optical fibers, they carry more data, which means that these optical fibers, they have higher bandwidth when you compare them with copper cables. Hence, this particular kind of cable, it can carry more data per unit time. Further, as we have noticed that this particular kind of cable, it is clad by a denser medium. Hence, there is a low signal attenuation, which means that the amount of signal which is passed through these cables, it is not changed in a significant manner. Hence, whereas on the other hand, these copper cables, they witness significant reduction in the signal quality. Hence, this enables them to carry data over a longer period of time. Further, as the core of this optical fiber, it is covered by a denser medium, hence this makes this cable immune from external disturbances. Hence, these are the particular advantage that these optical fiber cables, they carry over copper wires. Now, after knowing what are optical fibers, let us now discuss this model question. Now, this model question, it states that with reference to optical fibers, consider the following statements. The first statement, it says that in optical fibers, the encoded information is transmitted in a form of electric current, which we know is an incorrect statement because the data, it is transmitted in a form of electronic pulses. Whereas the second statement, it says that optical fibers utilize the phenomena of total internal reflection for transmission. As we have already highlighted, that this total internal reflection is at the heart of working of an optical fiber cable. Hence, this makes this second statement correct. Whereas the third statement, it says that they are susceptible to external perturbation such as lighting or bad weather. As we have already highlighted, that the core of this optical fiber material, it is covered by a denser cladding. Hence, these are immune from external perturbances, which means that third statement is an incorrect statement. Now, this question, it asks us how many statements given above are correct. Now we know that only statement 2 is correct, hence option A is the right answer. Whereas the PYQ is concerned, here option C was the correct answer.